Welcome to Atlas Balked, a semi-regularly produced chronicle concerning the weird, mundane, and sometimes even dramatic happenings of a simple fantasy baseball league. This podcast captures the thoughts and musings of Joe, Greg, and Jack, 3 of the 12 owners in the league. All right, welcome back, Balkers. We have made it. We have made it to our second show post He Who Will No Longer Be Named. And good to see you guys made it back. I appreciate it. Joe, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing well, rested and ready to go.
All right, very good, very good. GK?
I am also well. I'm doing well as well.
Look at that. Bunch of...
It's a fucking wellness clinic.
Yeah.
So it's been a couple
No
of weeks.
coronavirus here.
That's good. That is good. That's yeah, it's getting a little out of hand, right? The coronavirus thing. What do
Yeah.
you guys
It's the
think?
fucking flu. Let's
Right.
not get too
Right.
crazy
Yeah.
here.
The numbers are almost consistent with like the flu, right? I got friends like calling me up telling me they're buying masks off of Amazon
Which
and
don't
Uh,
work, by the way.
Well, yeah, those masks are made in China. How ironic is that? They're importing the germs.
Those masks are designed to keep your germs in your face, not to keep somebody else's germs out.
Right, we need the people with the coronavirus to wear the masks. That then-
Exactly.
then it
That would help.
work. Right,
Yeah.
right,
There's
right.
germs everywhere. Come on.
Yep.
Yep, it's causing a bit of a panic. Like I said, I had a friend call me the other day. So, what are you guys doing about this? I was like, ignoring it. I like washing my hands. I'm not going to China. I don't hang out at hospitals. I mean, other than that,
No plans to visit Tokyo this month.
I had a friend on Facebook who was outraged and cited the irony of the fact that somebody, actually a South Floridian, had recently been in China, and so he was nervous about coronavirus, and so he paid for a diagnostic test. And the article
really?
was, yeah, the article was that, it was outrageous that his insurance wouldn't pay for it. And how ironic, and I was like, I wouldn't pay for it if I was the insurance company either.
right, exactly.
I mean, that can't be cheap, first of all. And it's, it's like, no, dude, you're fine. You don't have the coronavirus. I just want to be safe. I just, if everybody started doing that, my God.
It's like any other diagnostic test. You were safe when you had it done, but you might have caught it the
Yeah.
next day. You might have caught it
Yeah.
at the doctor's office.
On your way out, yeah.
Let's just accept the fact that we're all going to die eventually
Exactly.
and hope for the best.
Yeah.
There you go. I've been doing that for.
All right.
Yeah, it's kind of worked against me actually. I didn't think I was going to make it this far, so now I have,
Yeah,
You'd
exactly.
I have no plan moving forward. I'm not sure what to do with
The
myself.
old Mickey Mantle philosophy that if I'd have known I was going to live this long, I'd have taken better care of myself.
Right there, exactly, exactly. I like it. All right, so the Juiceless League is moving right along. We're what about less than a month away from draft, and less than a month actually away from playing. Right, the season starts actually in March this year. So nothing real spectacular news-wise going on. Other we did the schedule has changed a little bit for those of you in the league that do give a shit. We actually went back to 18 games. We used to play 19, 20 for a couple of reasons. Number one, we want to make sure we alleviate that last week, that we don't have any, people sitting in the championship. And then we're adding the playoff game, the wild card team. So we need an extra playoff week. And finally, it is to stop ourselves from having 2 short weeks during the season. We already have that short week during the All-Star game. So we're going to try to not have the short week the first week. So that first week is going to be extended like it was, I think, a couple years ago, where it's like a 11-day
Ah,
that first
okay.
one. So
Jack, isn't it also true that we're shortening the length of the season so that we have fewer opportunities to make this podcast, because that's what Tim wants? Because he's so bitterly jealous about our new and improved version of Atlas Balked that he conspired with you and the other league, other league commissioners to decrease the length of the season for that very reason. Tell the truth.
I cannot say one way or the. I plead the fifth.
Okay, so listeners, that's not a denial.
So,
Tim's
so
just that
anyway,
diabolical.
it's possible.
It is.
So, so again, so a little bit changing the schedule, no big deal though. Like I said, it should be a little bit more fun this year, especially with that extra playoff game. I'm interested, honestly, for you two in particular. Now that we have this new system where we switch the divisions up every year, and again, for those of you not paying attention or that care, the playoff teams all end up in one division, so the other two are going to be separated non-playoff teams and give them a little bit better opportunity to make the playoffs. So you guys are in different divisions, right?
Hmm.
And you're each in the non-playoff division. And I mean, honestly, the way it kind of lays out, each of you has essentially one team to beat to guarantee yourself a playoff spot, right? I mean,
I
for the
love it.
most part,
Yeah.
without disrespecting LJ and Mike's dad, I'm sure they're going to be better this year. But Joe, you get past Tim, and Greg, get past Chris, and you guys are in the playoffs. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's great. I think it's fantastic, and I think that's what this league's playoffs are lacking, namely me. You know,
That's a couple more weeks of Greg. Everybody could use that.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that I don't have to play the four the four playoff teams from
Mhm.
last year have to worry about what they're doing every week.
Right.
Anything can happen.
Well, and having these expansion teams in these divisions is only going to help us as well.
Yeah, and truthfully, if I had been in the playoff division again this year, I might have been going a different direction with my team because I'm getting older, and
Hmm.
I mean, my team is getting older, and
Well, and you are getting
Yeah.
older.
yeah, none of us are getting younger, but getting close to where I'm going to have to tear it down and blow it up and start over. So
Mhm.
I gotta start thinking about that. Being in that division, I got a chance to get in the tournament that I might not have otherwise, given how last year turned out.
Right, right. Yeah, and last year, let's be honest, you had some unfavorable randomness,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
Your team was better than your finish, at least expected to be. But you know that, you know you're in the position now, and you went out and got the number two staff pick. So
Mhm.
you're in a good spot anyway. Again, Tim, Tim could say he's not going to try to compete up.
Yeah, he's. I think it was pretty recently he rebuilt in the middle of the season and had a pretty damn good team. So
Yeah, last year.
was
Yeah.
it was that yeah, I guess it
Yeah,
was.
he started out last year not trying to compete, and by
Yeah.
the end, he tried to make his run and finished fifth, of course, just out of the playoffs. But I think both of you guys have a really good shot this year. I think it's again, it's neat the system that we came up with, that it does give everyone, not everyone, again, two of the playoff teams won't make it, right? But
Mhm.
two of the non-playoff teams are guaranteed to make it, so it does mix it up a little bit, and that's kind of fun.
Yeah, but if you were good enough to get in the playoffs, you're a move or two away from being better. So
True,
it's
true.
they have you got a chance.
Yeah, no, it is a tough division though this year. That even the last couple of years, it seemed like a team may have snuck into the playoff. Where this year, the other three teams I'm in the division with, they all deserve it. That's
Mhm.
I'm not happy about my competition this year. Speaking of my competition, did you guys notice in the text string there that newer, kinder, gentler Dusty? Did anybody see that?
I talk about suspicious. I,
I was
I, I, I don't buy that for a minute. Listeners, you know what a acid-tongued, evil person Dusty to be, and now he's trying to come off as being genuinely friendly and caring. I don't buy it.
What what
No.
was it about the text that made you think he was kinder and gentler for the listeners?
Well, I mean, Jack surmised something to be done with sarcasm, and Dusty took great offense and took great pains to explain that no, he was genuinely, he was being sincere, and he wished Jack well, or something like that, right, Jack?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was just standard text, just out of nowhere. Dusty, I really appreciate Jack and Tim both really being on top of things and starting this season off smoothly. Can't
Okay.
overstate how much it means to all of us.
Now you can stop right there. I can see why you thought that was
Yeah, yeah,
sarcasm.
yeah, yeah. And I think he did
So,
overstate it. Yeah.
Now I didn't read that text string because by the time I got to my phone at that point, there were like 40 something messages. So as usual, I just clicked on it and then wiped it away.
Mhm.
I don't have time to go back and read that shit, but
Right,
Yeah.
right,
I,
right.
that would have been my reaction to it as well. So I think that was a good call, guys.
Well, and I even gave him the opportunity, right? I said, well, that's very nice of you. Unless that was sarcasm, then go fuck yourself. And then he, didn't take the opportunity and continued down the path of what Greg feels is deceit, and continued to say, no, that was genuine. I was being genuinely kind, and so
Maybe he
we'll
gave up
see.
being an asshole for Lent. Is that possible? Is that possible?
I'm usually
That
the
is a
first one to jump
possibility.
on Greg for his cynicism, but I think he's got it nailed on this
Yeah.
That
one.
might be it.
Yeah. Or
That might be
maybe
it.
his mother had control of his phone for the evening.
Because we all know Martha is a sweetheart,
Oh,
right?
she is. Well, she detests vulgar behavior.
That's right. That's
I'm
right.
surprised she still listens to the
Oh,
podcast.
yeah.
We're not saying it's by choice.
We have a hostage situation? Or picture Dusty's got her tied to a chair in the kitchen or something. Listen to this, Ma.
Maybe Dusty's laboring under the delusion or the illusion that the two new guys, the two new owners, don't know what a jerky is. But they both
Ah.
listened to the podcast, Dusty. So you're foiled again.
Yeah, but if they haven't actually heard him on it, then they've just heard us talk about him. So maybe he's trying to, yeah, that might be
Yeah,
it.
then we come off like the assholes. Which
Right. I mean, we are, but.
I was going to say, not painting with too broad a brush.
Not me.
So other than that, like I said, there's been a few trades here and there. People jockeying for position with staff picks. Tim has made a couple moves. Joe's made a move. I've made a move. Mike has just recently made a move, and so it looks like the other playoff teams, the lower part of the the picks are standing pat. So
Well, that's the mid-ball wizard for you. He doesn't make
this is
moves.
true. This is true.
In his
Yeah.
defense, he did win.
I know.
so-
That's what I mean. That's why he's a wizard. He's the mid-ball
Yeah.
wizard.
Yeah.
He doesn't
But
have
he
to
won
make
with
moves.
he won with a staff that he won't
That
get
he's not gonna
back.
get.
Right,
Right.
exactly. Yeah. I don't know where they're going, but they're not going ninth, that's for sure. So, ninth, 10th is tough. There's,
Yeah.
6th, 7th, even 8th if you get a mistake or two. But when you get down to 9 and 10, it's
Yeah, that's tough.
yeah.
Yeah, those of us that have been in the playoffs can vouch for that.
Is that a shot at Greg?
Oh,
I've been in the playoffs.
I know you have. I know. All right, so we have had a couple of messages. We did get we got some positive, as always, positive reinforcement from Turdnap on the new show and the new setup and
It's called loyalty.
well,
I have some loyal friends.
but he liked the idea of where we're considering going with the show. Again, let him listen to it a couple of times, see if he agrees. But at this point, but I did get one email, and you guys can probably guess who it's
Oh,
from.
not from Tito.
So Tito
Oh,
did
God.
send us an email, and obviously he is paying attention. Very brief. Says, "Dear Atlas Balked crew, I never really liked that Tim guy anyway."
Oh, Tito.
Oh, man, Tito is the man.
He is the man. And he's wise.
And he's wise, apparently, right?
Yeah.
We weren't sure up until then, but
I mean, let's
Well,
face it.
speak for yourself, Jack. I always thought he was the wisest among us.
We're with Tito and with Turdnap showing their support. We're unstoppable.
yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, those are definitely our two super fans, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Things change, and some folks were sad and melancholy about the changes, and then some folks, were rolling right along with it. So we appreciate the folks that are standing behind us.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
I think it'll be interesting as this year unfolds, because obviously he who shall not be spoken of is still in the league.
Right.
We may have occasion to interview him, based on league business or how the season is going. And I wonder if he'll be open to that.
Of course he will. I mean, just because you drove him away doesn't mean he doesn't like the other two of us.
Well, I mean, what kind of a pussy gets driven away by me? Little old me.
Well, there's been a lot of pussies getting driven away from you over the years.
Yeah, that's true.
That was great, Jack. You get 5 points for that one.
I was doing the driving away.
Right. So
Oh man.
So that's it. That's the league news. Not much else going on. Like I said, the draft is coming up here in a few weeks. So as we get into the league, we start communicating a little bit more. Hopefully, we'll have more reports on this newer, kinder, gentler Dusty, and the new guys in the league are going to be interesting. Bill, haven't heard much from him. Have you heard much from him? Is he?
Oh, I hear from him from time to time, but I did specifically reach out to him and just say, "Hey, man, are you ready? And are you excited for the season to begin?" He was like, "Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait." So
All
that's
right,
good.
good.
And
Have
then
you offered him a trade yet?
no, no, not yet. I don't. Yeah, I have to see his roster. We got to get those team names from those two. I hate seeing like,
Team 11 and
yeah,
Team 12.
yeah, I don't like that. And I did get a random text from the pseudo scout last night with like he just sent me screenshots of his itinerary. Where he'll be flying into Fort Lauderdale to stay with me. Like I was like, oh yeah, I guess we did discuss that. Yeah.
I was going to say,
I for-
were you
I-
aware of these plans?
Well, he'd mentioned it kind of casually, and like it's for
I
like
like Florida.
it's like for later in the year. Like he's like, hey, are you going to be available on a Tuesday through or Thursday through a Sunday in November? And I was like, I don't know, maybe I suppose. And that was the last we'd spoken of it.
Well, to be fair, it was later than when you spoke about
Yeah,
it.
and then last night I get this itinerary texted to me.
Pick me up at the airport at 4:00.
Yeah, my heart was like, oh God, when's he coming? I mean, I'm looking forward to it, Justin. If you're listening, I'm looking forward to it. But I'd forgotten about it, and I have made like a number of other plans throughout the year. It's like I'm going to Jazz Fest. I have my brothers and sisters coming to visit. I'm going to go up. I'm going to make a Penn State trip this year, and I was like, oh fuck, please don't let him have booked. That something that conflicts with one of my more appealing social activities. And no, thank God he's in the clear. Justin, it's all good, buddy.
Keys under the mat.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, but
Maybe
yeah,
now's the time to start a new relationship. While he's here, you'll have an excuse to ghost her.
that's true. Well, I don't need. I mean, that'd be a long relationship, Joe.
Yeah.
That'd be an 8-month relationship. That's like an eternity, for God's sake. Maybe I'll start a new relationship in September or October,
Oh, there you
and
go.
then use Justin as the pretense to ghost somebody.
There
Good
you go.
idea.
Yeah, thank
There
you.
you go.
God.
So back to baseball. You guys see? I know we've touched on it a little bit. We haven't really delved into it, but did you guys see there is an official Vegas line now for the over under on how many Astros batters are going to get plunked this year?
What is it? What is the number?
The number is 83.5.
I wonder what's the I'm sure we could find this out, or knowing you, Jack, you probably already know it. What is like the team record for a single season? I
Yeah.
remember there were some years where a lot of Pirates getting plunked just because of the way they, crowded the plate. But man, 80, that's like, it doesn't seem intuitively, that seems really high for an average year, because that would be like
Every other game.
Yeah, right.
One batter
Exactly.
every other game.
And that seems like it's less frequent than that, but maybe that's normal.
I don't know. I mean, some of it's going to depend on whether the other team's in a playoff hunt too. You're not just going to put guys on base and potentially lose a game for having a base runner that shouldn't be there.
Oh yeah, I know.
True.
Well, and wouldn't the league, like, if it becomes like,
Absolutely, they would.
yeah,
put a stop
wouldn't they
to it.
have to? I mean, if they knew specifically that other teams were just planning on plunking and trying to intentionally hit or hurt Astros, wouldn't the league say, well, you know what, we're going to suspend guys for 5 games for hitting an Astro? Could they do that, or would that be too arbitrary?
That's a
because,
good question. Yeah, I don't know that they can like change the punishment based on the fact that it's
an
more
extraordinary
fun to
circumstance.
hit people. Yeah, because they want to hit them. That's I know they've come out and asked for the pitchers not to hit them. Like baseball has said, please don't do this. I don't know. That's interesting. I would think it'd be something that you'd have to kind of come up with up front. But then what about every other team? Then they just start hitting people and like, look, we don't get in trouble for it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it'd be more likely that that scenario would come up against teams in their own division, perhaps, or the Yankees who feel like they've got a sore ass about the whole thing. So
Sure. Yeah, but no, there's a lot of players is what it is. It's not even a team thing, Joe. I mean, I'm sure it is, right? The Yankees, the Dodgers, not happy. It's the players. It's guys that not only their livelihood, but they, had a buddy that was a relief
Right.
pitcher that
Exactly.
threw to Altuve and only got the chance to pitch that day. And if he had done well, he would have got to pitch tomorrow, but he didn't. He got taken deep, and that's where a lot of the anger is coming from individuals.
I
So
get that, but isn't that the same argument that I made about steroids when we had this discussion early on in the podcast? There's some hitter that didn't make the big leagues
mhm.
because
Right.
these other guys were doing it. And
Yeah.
I don't see any of these guys that were complaining about that. I didn't sense a lot of anger from other players about people doing steroids.
Well, that's because everyone was doing it.
Well, and I
Well,
think
no, Jack, everybody
I know.
wasn't doing it.
There had to be
That's my
somebody.
point.
You're
But
right.
I think the difference is the like kind of the organized team nature of this cheating. You know what I mean? Like there was, I mean,
You can't tell me that the New York Yankees aren't stealing signs from other
well,
teams.
no, I know.
The Astros were just more creative and technical about it.
I'm not arguing that at all. But what I'm saying is Jack is right. There's more ire over this because of
Yes.
those, some players deeming that their careers were damaged as a result of it. I mean, I think there's a minor league pitcher who's filing or has talked about filing a lawsuit about it.
Yeah, I think that's happened, but the same damn guys should have been filing lawsuits about Barry Bonds doing steroids.
Yeah, but I mean, even though, like,
He's taking food out of their mouths in exactly the same way.
right, but they never admitted it. You know what I mean? Even though we all know it to be true, at the time they didn't admit it. They had
I
that
get there.
slight
It's
plausible denial,
it's frosting on a cake, man.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. You're not wrong, Joe. You're right. Why didn't it happen? I don't know. Is it because everyone was doing it, or because they at least knew everyone was doing it? You know what?
Or there was guys on their own team who were doing it too. So
Right,
if I'm
right,
going to go
right,
plunk Bonds, but I'm a McGuire's teammate. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if I plunk Bonds,
We all have our goons that are shooting up.
If
Yeah,
I
yeah.
plunk Bonds, then Mac's going to get plunked too. But here it's like no, the Astros are indefensible.
Well, but it's the same thing to me. If you're complaining about the Astros, then you better be standing up in your team meetings going, look, I know you guys are trying to steal their signs, and you can't do that.
Well, but I think the fact that they won the World Series is also sticking in people's craw too and making it work.
I think it's just because they got caught doing something extraordinary. I don't think.
No, because it's above and beyond. Everybody tries to steal signs. You're right. That's normal. It's part of baseball. They know it, but there's rules that above and beyond this effort.
Yeah, I'm certainly not defending what
It's
they
the
did.
ultimate unwritten rule. That was
I'm not defending what they did. What I'm saying is that I think the response to it is a little out of proportion.
So you're saying under on the over under.
Joe's going with the under.
Oh, I'm not saying that they're not going to do it. It's like I said, I think it's going to be more guys in their division. Other players are legitimately pissed about it.
That's what the 26th man on the roster is specifically for. That's
To get hit.
that's the designated relief pitcher whose job is to plunk an Astro.
And then get suspended for
Yeah,
5
exactly.
games. Yeah, okay.
That's why they added the.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
So, from a fantasy standpoint, do you guys feel like it's going to affect the players? In other words, I'm Jose Altuve. Whether I cheated or not and got a benefit from it, that's not my question. It might be the case, but not my question. This guy, there's no way that it's not on his mind, right? That he's not thinking about it. That he's not going out there. They're hitting him. He's getting booed. It's a complete different environment that he's played in for, all of his career. Is that going to change anything for any of these guys?
I'm not sure Altuve is the best example of that because didn't Correa come out and say he was the one guy that wasn't doing it and was upset about
Well,
it? within the team?
Brian McCann, the catcher, was
Also?
very against it. I don't
Okay.
know. I hadn't heard or I don't recall whether Altuve
No, I think
was in or out.
Altuve is the poster boy of it. I mean,
No, I'm saying that Correa came out and publicly said, I saw it on MLB Network. He said Jose Altuve was against it from the start and he did not participate in it and he was angry about it. Now, I know you had that picture of him with the shirt. I don't know one way or the other. I know Jose Altuve didn't all of a sudden become a better hitter in the last 2 years. He could always hit.
He was
I'm
right.
not
I
worried
agree.
about his hitting ability. I'm sure that if he didn't do it, he's angry about it, and if he did do it, it's on his mind for that reason.
Well, I'll
Right.
say, I have Correa, and I'm a little bit worried about how it might impact him, whether it's psychologically or, he's a younger player than Altuve. I would liken it to a guy who you had for the Rockies being traded away from the Rockies, you know?
Mm.
And so it's like, yeah, he was a really good hitter for the Rockies, but he played half his games at Coors Field. And in my mind, it's like, yeah, Correa's seems, if he's healthy, he seems like he's a really good young hitter. But is it partly because he's getting this home advantage based on this, scam? I mean,
Yeah,
again,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
got a great pedigree, but
Right.
it's on my mind. It doesn't make me happier to have him.
Right.
That's
More
for
No, I
sure.
agree.
confident. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like I said, I'm not even talking about that aspect, but that aspect may come into play. I just, like I said, for all these years, there's a routine, there's a an atmosphere, there's an environment, and now these guy Correa is walking up to the plate now, thinking, am I going to get hit or not? Is this going to happen? Am I getting booed? And it's got to be different. Again, some guys can just play through that; it doesn't affect them at all. Like you said, I wouldn't be more confident in my Astros at the moment, anyway.
Well,
Right.
I remember when Ryan Braun got so humiliated, embarrassed,
Yeah.
blamed the poor test taking guy, but then he had to fess up.
The UPS guy.
Yeah, then he had to fess up. And I remember like being at Pirates games with my daughter when she was much younger then, and like just me guys, I was like I had good seats and I was like screaming, invectives at Ryan Braun. Every time he came to the plate, and I was encouraging my child and the other folks in my section
As any good
to
parent
like be
would.
like, "You fucking cheater," blah blah blah. And Braun, like at the bottom of the top of the ninth, hit a game-winning home run. So my point is that these guys are probably so entitled and
Yeah.
aloof that they won't care. Yeah, they're
Yep.
millionaires either
Do
way.
we know how long the program that the Astros used was in place?
Was it 2 years?
So it was the year they won, and then last year.
17, 18, and 19.
Oh,
So
3 years.
3 years.
Oh,
3
wow.
years, yeah. 17 was definitely in play. And back to Correa, again, I'm sure he's a great guy, but this is the same guy that after Altuve tried to explain the reason he didn't want his shirt taken off when he was coming over across home plate was because his wife didn't want girls to see him without his shirt on. Correa, just 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
last week, tried to explain it by saying he had a tattoo
He had a
that
bad tattoo.
like didn't look good, so he didn't want anyone to see it, and that was the reason that he. So again, there's
They're a strange lot, the Astros, aren't
yeah,
they?
yeah, no doubt.
I don't have any idea how it's going to affect them. I think they're all professionals and they'll deal with it. It's probably hell. It could go the other way. It could just make them mad and make them better.
True.
The one thing I do know is Altuve could hit before.
For
He
sure.
was hitting in the minors
Of course.
all his entire career.
But yeah,
So,
but he's a great hitter. But then when you tell a great hitter that a fastball's coming, it makes him even better.
sure it does.
Yeah.
Sure it does.
Right.
But it also, I heard something that Stanton said. Oh, if I'd have known what was coming, I'd have hit 80 home runs that year. That's kind of bullshit.
Well, he gets hurt too often. So.
Well, that was,
he would- right.
that was the one year he didn't get hurt, and this year.
Did you guys think Manfred was harsh enough in his discipline?
What could you do?
Suspend him. I mean, they suspend guys. Listen, Joe. Like now, I'm agreeing with you, Joe, that it's not dissimilar from using performance-enhancing drugs. And now, if you use a performing-enhancing drug, you get an automatic 81-game suspension.
True.
And so it's cheating, and so that form of cheating through biotechnology is well policed now. So these players have a lot of time in the clubhouse, obviously, and so they're like, okay, guys, we can't all get roided up. What can we do? How about if we use technology to give ourselves a little boost? It's cheating too, and so why
Do
not
not disagree.
why not hand out 81-game suspensions to the Astros and like decimate their fucking season?
I would not have a problem with that if that's
Yeah, me
what
either.
they chose to do.
Manfred tried to do a joke, though, has he not?
My question then is, do you think MLB has proof of which players were doing what.
I don't know that they could go through the roster and absolute each one of
Yeah.
them. They have proof of somebody doing something.
Right.
Well,
for
I know
sure.
the criticism of this from the beginning has been that they did not go interview the players right away and try and get them to turn on each other because that wasn't going to happen. So they got guys that had gotten traded away that were disgruntled that came forward and then they went after the front office and that's been a criticism of this all along.
Then you're getting into, and again, I don't know what the answer is, but right, Brian McCann was part of the 2017 team. He doesn't play anymore. So,
Right.
what are you going to do? Hit, throw a rock at him?
Well, he wasn't one of the ones who cheated. Like he was vocally against it.
But now they're talking, but they're banging on trash cans, right? So you're
Yeah.
up to bat, and you're like, "Hey guys, I don't want to cheat," and you go up to bat, and they bang twice. You're like, "All right, I know that's a
No,
curveball."
I think they told. I think McCann.
Like made them not do it.
Yeah, don't do that shit when I'm up there.
Or shit.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, if nothing else, I think Manfred. There was talk about like stripping the World Series title from them.
Mm-hmm.
And this enraged several players. I saw Instagram and Twitter.
Tom Brady? No,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
no. It enraged them when somebody posed a question to Manfred, or like, why don't you just take away the World Series title from them? Have there be no winner for that year in the history books? And he was like, hey, taking a piece of metal away from them, what's that going to solve? And referring to the World Series trophy, and that incensed a number of players. Like, hey, that guy just, our commissioner of our league just devalued the thing that we all strive for every year.
I think that sets a precedent that maybe you don't want to approach. But to be fair, it's done in college all the time.
Right.
How many football titles have been stripped from teams and the
Absolutely.
title is just vacant?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I
or
don't know.
basketball.
I think Manfred has a huge credibility problem now, and then he's coming out with these cockamamie ideas to, quote unquote, improve the game, and people are like, "What the fuck is this guy thinking?" He has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan myself. Yeah, again, I don't know what the answer is. It does seem odd to know that some of these guys definitely cheated and they're just getting to go back out there like everyone else. It does seem like there should be some penalty for at least the ones that they know that can be proven. But
Well, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that. If I was a season ticket holder of the Astros, I might be thoroughly pissed if I'd already spent
Yeah.
my money.
Dude,
It's just-
if
it's a
the
shitty thing.
Pirates had made the World Series against the Astros in that season and lost,
then we know both of them cheated. Hey,
I would be so fucking bitter.
Oh yeah,
I mean, and there's teams that make it more frequently than others, but the World Series is the World Series, and I would be furious, irate, outside my mind with anger about it.
I think about, like I said, that guy that just got called up from AAA. It's his
Yeah.
one, he gets one shot to get in there, and his one opportunity to show off his stuff in the majors is against the team that cheat. But again, they're good hitters. That's the thing, right? How Barry Bonds was a good hitter too, before.
Yeah.
So, at what point is it necessary, and how much more is it bringing you? But there's definitely guys that lost their livelihood because of these guys' decision. I mean,
But there is now just to be the contrarian that I am, Joe's right also about the fact that all teams steal signs to one degree or another. I
Absolutely.
think it's at least possible that like Beltran and those guys were like, well, shit, this is a time-honored tradition in baseball. We've just gotten smarter at it.
no, see, and that's, I don't know if you're aware, because you had said it before. You said, I mean, I know we've joked about the unwritten rule. This is a
Yeah.
written rule. This is written. They because they know that people steal. It is written that you cannot use, technology.
technology or
Yeah,
outside. Yeah.
absolutely. So it's beyond like you shouldn't do it or everybody's doing it. We just took a little further. There is an absolute line that's written, and they decided to go beyond that line.
Yeah, man. So then they should be stripped of the title, or have great penalties heaped upon them.
I would be less interested in taking the title away from them than I would be in handing out suspensions to players.
Yeah, or loss of draft choices or something. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like they don't get to participate in a draft, like a recruiting violation.
Do you hold the senior players, the manager more responsible, or do you hold the players more responsible for stuff like that?
I hold the manager most responsible. I mean,
Okay, so he's out of the league,
yeah, but he
as
was
well as the Red Sox manager
but he was an
and the Mets
employee.
manager.
College coaches who have recruiting violations, they get fired or they quit, but then the sanctions still get imposed on their former employers.
Well, and I also think that the players that are involved, especially the veterans, probably hold a lot more sway than the manager does in that locker room.
Well, that was the thing. Beltran steamrolled everybody.
Yeah.
And McCann was the only kind of equally respected veteran, and they were polarizing forces. But people that Beltran overpowered McCann's desired not to cheat. That's what I read.
But yeah, no, but Joe is right there. Is from what my understanding, Cora and Beltran are probably more responsible than anyone, and hurting the Astros now does nothing to them. So yeah, it's a tough situation. There's guys, on the Astros now that just got there. They're like, what the fuck, man? I just wanted to come up and play with a good team.
Again, though, it's
Yeah,
like,
you can't transfer either like you can in college.
but it is like the NCAA. You a freshman or a sophomore who had done anything wrong, and D'Antonio or somebody quits, and then they start talking about violations, and that kid's stuck there at least for a minute. They have they have a limited amount of time in college. So it's the penalties get visited upon the schools. I mean, shit, I know that more than any college fan.
That's why I said that I would rather see them punish players that they have proof did something wrong than punish an organization and their fans by taking away a trophy.
Well, but the manager had to have known that it was going on.
I don't disagree. I'm
Yeah.
not saying don't
And
punish
so,
him.
And so he's management, though.
Yeah.
Players are individuals, but he's supposed to. You'd think, in theory, it's again, not to use these bad. I wish HR Courtney was on this call. Not to use these bad comparisons, but like a company, sexual harassment or some other bad action at a company. It's the standard is the managers knew or should have known that this bad acting was going on, and taken some action.
Mhm.
So I think the Astros are culpable.
That's debatable, but it's. I know everybody wants to blame the manager all the time, and I'm not saying that.
In this case,
he
yeah,
had
in
to
this
know.
case, he
In this
knew.
case,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, I'm on the phone trying to call a relief pitcher. Can you quit banging on that
Yeah,
trash can lid?
seriously.
Obviously, he knew something was going on. with
Sure,
that, or-
of course.
I'm going with the over.
Yeah.
I expect there to be a like, especially early in the season. I'm interested to see if baseball steps in and changes it if it does happen as much as it looks like it will happen.
I don't think they have a choice. That's pretty dangerous.
Well, so hopefully any declines in Correa's batting average will be mitigated by more,
On base.
On base by getting hit.
Yeah.
But you don't get any points for getting hit.
No, no.
You just get points for what he does while he's on base.
Yeah. You still get an opportunity for points.
Maybe we
but you
should
don't
make
get
that a new league rule that you get.
I've often
same
thought
as the walk.
that we should have that.
Yeah.
the cheaters get an extra opportunity.
Yeah.
I
Like a
like
walk.
it.
As the owner of Altuve, I would support that, Greg.
Yeah, Correa. I want him just to armor up and put on a lot of batting.
Well, isn't that the thing?
Yeah.
The first three guys get hit, and all of a sudden everybody goes out there with a football uniform.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, it should be interesting. We'll check back in as the once the season gets started,
Yeah.
and keep an eye on it, see how it goes.
I do know this: if I was an Astros player, I'd get that extra long chin part of my batting helmet.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
sure.
no shit. No doubt, no doubt. All right, well, good stuff. Good stuff. Anybody have anything extra to share this week before we wrap it up?
No, I'm just excited for the draft and excited to get the season started.
Yeah, so the draft's coming up in 2.5 weeks. We'll do it through text. We'll it'll last over a weekend, a few days, whatever it takes. So everybody was really good with the expansion. If everybody's at least that attentive, which should be pretty
Yeah.
smooth. And
We did the draft this way last year too, didn't we?
Yeah, we just didn't tell anybody when it was going.
Oh, right.
this year we're giving
Everyone got all
advance.
bent out of shape.
Well, I know I did.
Yeah, but no, it should be a fun season. I like I said, I'm excited. Doing the schedule the other day, and it's I'm excited for the new guys. I'm a Pops Mix 7 supporter this year.
Mix 7.
Maybe we'll yeah, maybe we'll break down Mix 7 next show. We'll
Yeah,
see.
good.
All right, well, cool. It was good seeing you
All right,
guys.
boys.
And, we're gonna do this again in a couple weeks. We're like I said, two more shows, and
Yeah.
we're in the season.
I
So
love it. Atlas Balked 2.0.
that's right, bigger and better.
Absolutely. More room to move in the studio now that Tim's gone. Isn't it amazing how now that Tim's gone, Squadcast seems to work just fine? None of us have difficulty logging in. There's no bizarre audio issues on Joe or my
now
end.
that you mention it, it's really weird. I don't have to tell it what my equipment is
Yeah.
anymore.
Uh,
It just knows
yeah. I
somehow.
just feel freer. I'm sorry.
It's a brighter world.
It is.
We'll see you guys next time.
All right. Good night, guys.
Right. Jack is right. Joe's right. Jack is right. Joe's right.